night, 9 of which were intercepted, and Israel responded with 3 airstrikes on targets linked to the territory's militant Hamas rulers, the Israeli military said early Friday. It was the most serious exchange of fire along the Gaza frontier in months, but there were no reports of casualties. Police said buildings and vehicles in Israel were damaged, and that bomb disposal units have been dispatched to pick up shrapnel and rocket parts. In recent weeks, groups affiliated with Hamas have launched incendiary balloons into Israel, igniting farmland in a bid to pressure Israel to ease the blockade it imposed on Gaza when the Islamic militants seized power in 2007. The rocket fire marks a significant escalation. Israel and Hamas have fought 3 wars and several smaller battles over the last 13 years. Neither side is believed to be seeking war, but any casualties could ignite a wider conflict. In an attempt to be dropped from the Financial Action Task Force grey list, Pakistan has banned 88 new terrorists in compliance with the new list issued by UNSC. The banned terrorists include Hafiz Saeed, Masood Azhar and Dawood Ibrahim, local media reports said on Saturday. Paris-based FATF put Pakistan on the grey list in June 2018 and asked Islamabad to implement a plan of action by the end of 2019, but the deadline was extended later due to COVID-19 pandemic. The Pakistan government issued 2 notifications on August 18 announcing sanctions on key leaders of terror outfits such as 2611 Mumbai attack mastermind and Jamaat-ud-Dawa chief Hafiz Saeed, Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar and underworld don Dawood Ibrahim. Ibrahim, who heads a vast illegal business, has emerged as India's most wanted terrorist after the 1993 Mumbai bombings, which killed nearly 200 people. The notifications ratified a complete ban on all leaders and members of the now defunct Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan hiding in the Pakistan-Afghan border areas. Hafiz Saeed Ahmad of Jamaat-ud-Dawa, Muhammad Masood Azhar, who leads the Jaish-e-Mohammed, Mullah Fazullah, Zakirur Rahman Lakhvi, Muhammad Yaha Mujahid and Abdul Hakim Murad, who is wanted by Interpol. Several leaders of other different terror outfits were also on the list. The notifications order seizure of all movable and immovable properties of these outfits and individuals and freezing of their bank accounts. These terrorists have been barred from transferring money through financial institutions, purchasing arms and traveling abroad. China's expansionist designs is going on unchecked in Nepal as it is slowly and gradually encroaching Nepali land at multiple locations with the tactic support of the present dispensation headed by Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. According to a report by the Survey Department of Agriculture Ministry of Nepal, China has illegally occupied Nepal's land in several places, spreading over 7 bordering districts. The report stated Beijing is fast moving forward and further pushing Nepali boundaries by encroaching more and more landmass. It is important to note that the data is being underreported and the actual scenario could be worse, as the Nepali Communist Party is trying to shield the expansionist agenda of the Chinese Communist Party. It is believed that China has made inroads into several other areas of Nepal, occupied land and slowly progressing within the country. Prime Minister KP Oli government has preferred to keep mum over the illegal occupation of the village by China under fears of displeasing the CCP. The Nepali districts which are victims of China's land-grabbing plan, including Dolakha, Gorkha, Darchula, Hamla, Sindhupal Chowk, Sakumbua and Rasua. According to the Surveying and Mapping Department of Nepal, China has pushed the international boundary 1500 meters towards Nepal in Dolakha. It has pushed the boundary pillar number 57 in the Kolang area in Dolakha, which was previously located at top of Kolang. Vietnam has briefed India about the escalating tension in the South China Sea in the wake of China significantly ramping up its military presence by deploying a large number of ships and fighter jets in the region, notwithstanding the calls of restraint by several countries. The issue figured during Vietnamese Ambassador Pham San Chung meeting with Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla on Friday. People familiar with the developments said. No details of the meeting were made available either by the Ministry of External Affairs or by the Vietnam Embassy. China claims sovereignty over all of the South China Sea, a huge source of hydrocarbons. However, several ASEAN member countries, including Vietnam, Philippines, and Brunei, have counterclaims. An attempt by China in 2014 to drill oil in the Paracel Islands, claimed by Vietnam, had led to anti-China riots in Vietnam, in which several Chinese factories were vandalized. India has been supporting freedom of navigation and access to resources in the South China Sea in accordance with principles of international law, including the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. The South China Sea is important as 55% of India's trade passes through it. China has been objecting to India's oil exploration projects in the Vietnamese waters in the South China Sea. However, India has rejected the objection, saying its energy cooperation with Vietnam was as per international laws. During his maiden visit to Jammu and Kashmir, Lieutenant Governor Jammu and Kashmir Manoj Sinha inaugurated Phase 1 of the 58.25 kilometers long Jammu Ring Road between Akhnoor Road, Kangrail and Bhalwar. The foundation stone of the ring road was laid by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in May 2018. The project, funded under Prime Minister's Development Fund, is scheduled to be completed at an estimated cost of 2024 crores in December 2021. The 8-kilometer long road link inaugurated today missed the earlier deadline of March 2020 due to COVID-19 pandemic. Once completed, the ring road will provide smooth connectivity to the commuters between Samba and Nagrota. The road link is going to connect 60 villages along the route. 54 villages fall in Jammu district and 6 others in Samba district. The Lieutenant Governor also commended district administration of Jammu and Samba for timely land acquisition and prompt removal of bottlenecks in the execution of the project. Five infiltrators were shot dead by the BSF in an encounter along the Indo-Pak border in Punjab early this morning. The infiltrators were trying to enter the Indian side through the Khemkaran border area in Taran Taran district when they spotted by the BSF patrol team, officials said. Upon being challenged to stop, the intruders fired upon the troops, who retaliated in self-defense. 5 intruders were killed in the gunfight. They added, alert troops of the 103 Battalion BSF noticed suspicious movement of intruders violating international border. Upon being challenged to stop, intruders fired upon BSF troops, who retaliated in self-defense. Resultantly, 5 intruders were shot. Intensive search operations are underway, the border guarding force said in a tweet. One AK-47 rifle with 2 magazines and 27 live rounds, and 4 pistols with 7 magazines and 109 rounds were recovered from the intruders, the BSF tweeted, giving details of the search operation. Apart from the weapons, the intruders were also found to be carrying 9.9 kilograms of contraband, suspected to be heroin. Pakistani currency was also found from their possession. Punjab shares 553-kilometer long frontier with Pakistan, apart from Jammu, Rajasthan and Gujarat, who together constitute the remaining part of the international border. It's time for a short break. We'll join you in a short while.
दुनिया की नजर आज हम पर टिकी है, जिसमें सिर्फ एक सवाल है, हमारा अगला कदम क्या है। तो जवाब ये है कि हम तैयार हैं पूरी तरह। पूरी दुनिया का दिल जीतने के लिए। अहमियत इस बात की नहीं कि आप किन बुलंदियों पर हैं, बल्कि इस बात की है कि यहां पहुंचने का हौसला किससे मिला। देश की मिट्टी से। कजारिया देश की मिट्टी से बनी टाइल से देश को बनाते हैं।
Welcome back to K News and thank you for watching. Let's continue the streak of news. Around 200 children were forced to travel 50 kilometers every day to reach an area with internet connection to attend online classes from their remote coastal villages in Maharashtra after they were hit first COVID-19 lockdown and then cyclone Nisarg. Hit by a pandemic and then a natural disaster, the children from remote villages in Maharashtra had to deal with internet disruptions since early June, when connectivity along the coastal area of Ratnagiri district becomes scratchy. But when even after a month the situation did not improve, one of the students finally reached out to the top child rights body, NCPCR, for help. The National Commission for Protection Child Rights in turn ensured that the connectivity is restored in the fastest possible manner by reaching out to cellular companies and the district magistrate of the area. NCPCR chairman Priyank Kanungo said in his letter to the district magistrate of the area. Kanungo stressed that the authorities must ensure that the issue gets resolved at the earliest. A suspected ISIS terrorist armed with explosives and a weapon was arrested in Delhi last night after a brief shootout, the police said, adding that he had been plotting a lone wolf attack. A high alert has been declared in the national capital and neighboring Uttar Pradesh, with vehicles crossing the border between Delhi and Noida in Uttar Pradesh being checked by security officials. One ISIS operative was arrested with improvised explosive devices by our special cell after an exchange of fire at Dhola Kua, Pramod Singh Kushwaha, Delhi Police Chief said. The senior cop was also quoted as saying the suspect had planned to conduct a terror strike in the city on Independence Day, but had been failed by the heavy security. Mustaqim Khan, alias Abu Yusuf, was to come to Delhi around August 15 to carry out terror strikes. Now he felt the security could be lax, so he could come here, but he was nabbed. he told reporters, adding that we had been conducting surveillance on him through sources. We also found he was in touch with ISIS and directly in touch with its commanders. The accused was arrested at around 11:30 p.m. on Friday in Delhi's Dhola Kua area. Two pressure cookers turned into IEDs with about 15 kilograms of explosive in them. A pistol with 4 cartridges and a motorcycle were recovered from his possession, the police said. Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech International Limited got approval from the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization to conduct a separate clinical trial for their COVID-19 vaccine, Covaxin, through the skin. Currently, the vaccine was being tested through intramuscular route, where it is injected directly into the muscle. The CDSCO is a pharmaceutical regulatory body under the Health Ministry. It regulates the quality of drugs and vaccines in the country. The trial is being conducted on 1,125 patients at 12 hospitals across the country, including All India Institute of Medical Sciences. The Bharat Biotech is working on the COVID-19 vaccine project called Covaxin. ICMR has also partnered with the company on the trials. As per the report, the findings of the intradermal route will be analyzed separately along with the current intramuscular trial. If the result proves to be successful, the vaccine could be made cheaper as the vaccine would be injected in the dermis, one of the layers of the skin. Lesser dosage is required in this method, which can help in more people getting vaccinated. An Indian national has been arrested on charges of conspiracy to commit visa fraud and for inducing foreign nationals to come to the US using fraudulently obtained H-1B visas, federal prosecutors said on Friday. Arrested on Thursday, 48-year-old Ashish Soni allegedly used 4 corporations to orchestrate the improper submission of fraudulent applications for H-1B specialty occupation work visas, charged with 2 counts of conspiracy, 3 counts of inducing an alien to come to and reside at the US for commercial advantage or private financial gain, and 1 count of attempted naturalization fraud. Sawney allegedly generated gross profits from 2011 to 2016 of approximately 21 million, the prosecutor said. If convicted, Sony faced a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. A resident of Sterling, a Virginia suburb of Washington, D.C., he submitted or caused to be submitted H-1B visa application materials stating that the foreign workers named in the applications would fulfill a specific job, where in fact no such job existed at the time of filing, the prosecutor said. Ashish Soni also attempted to naturalize as a US citizen by submitting an application containing false statements. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh on Saturday reviewed the overall security scenario in eastern Ladakh amid the ongoing talks between India and China on the disengagement process in the high altitude region. People familiar with the developments said. The meeting was attended by National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, Army Chief General M.M. Naravane, Navy Chief Admiral Kalambir Singh, and IAF Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadoria. The sources said all important aspects of the border law with China is in eastern Ladakh were discussed in great detail. The meeting also deliberated on the future course of approach in dealing with the situation. The analysis comes in the wake of the assessment by the Army that the Chinese military is not serious about the resolution of the border conflict in eastern Ladakh. There has been a stalemate in the military talks as the Indian Army was strongly insisting that the Chinese side must restore the status quo ante of April this year to resolve over 3-month-old row. The Indian Army has clearly stated to the PLA that shifting of the line of actual control is not acceptable to it. The sources said, adding Chinese military is now desperately attempting to give ex post facto strategic meaning to its actions in eastern Ladakh. The Supreme Court has extended by a month the deadline for completion of trial in the 1992 Babri Masjid demolition case involving 32 accused, including BJP veterans L.K. Advani, Murli Manohar Joshi and Uma Bharti, and said that judgment should be delivered by September 30. The top court, which had earlier fixed August 31 as the deadline for completion of proceedings, including pronouncement of the verdict, took note of the report filed by Special Judge S.K. Yadav in the high-profile case. A bench of Justices R.F. Nariman, Navin Sinha and Indira Banerjee said, having read the report of Surendra Kumar Yadav, learned special judge, and considering that the proceedings are at the fag end, we grant 1 month's time, that is till September 30, 2020, to complete the proceedings including the delivery of judgment. The order was passed on August 19 and was uploaded on the Apex Court website recently. On May 8, the top court has extended by 3 months the time for completion of the trial in the case and said the judgment should be delivered by August 31. The special CBI court at Lucknow has completed the recording of statements of the 32 accused under section 313 for CRPC in the case. The Union Home Secretary wrote to the governments of all states and UTs on Saturday, reminding them that under central guidelines for Unlock 3 or the third phase of easing of the coronavirus lockdown, there were no restrictions on either inter or intra-state movement of people or goods. The letter notes that there are reports of such restrictions being imposed by district level officials in number of states. The letter also notes that these restrictions were adversely impacting supply chains and thereby disrupting economic activity and employment. Referring to paragraph 5 of the guidelines, Home Secretary Ajay Kumar Bhalla said no separate permission or e-permit was required for movement of persons or goods. Mr. Bhalla in his letter also cautioned state governments that the continued imposition of such restrictions would be viewed as a violation of Union Home Ministry guidelines issued under relevant provision of the Disaster Management Act 2005. He also urged all states and UTs to remove movement restrictions, if any, and ensures that Home Ministry guidelines are followed. That's all for now. Keep watching K News. This is Hardik Trivedi taking your leave. Be alert, be positive, be safe.